Well,
We on.
Esther and Meir, thank you for coming on. How are you?
We're doing great.
Appreciate
We
you
do
taking the time. Yes,
last day of Hanukkah.
we are recording on the last day of Hanukkah, so it's good for me to be able to see you. We haven't been able to see each other as much as usual, but it's
No,
spend a little bit of time on the holiday.
yeah,
It was a quick holiday.
yeah.
It was.
This whole year was upside down, but
It
it
very
is
much,
what it is. We look forward for a healthier and better year and
Yes.
going back to somewhat of a normal from
Yes.
this new normal.
If we can come together without being anxious and we can all be healthy, it will be very enjoyable, and hopefully we can do that soon. And the reason for this series is so that we can learn about each other and connect with one another even from a distance. So that's why we're doing this, and we've had some videos, and we're anxious to learn a little bit more about you. So Meir, we'll start with you. If you can tell us a little bit about your background and about your accent. I know when I first came to Richmond, you told me that your accent was from Cleveland. So it took
Ohio, right.
right, Ohio. So it took me a few moments to realize that it wasn't Ohio. It was Israel. So if you could tell us a little bit about your history.
Okay, well, we'll start with my birth certificate. And if you look at it and you can see it,
Yes.
it's government of Palestine.
Yes, and this was controlled by Great Britain, right?
He was doing the mandate, and that's a copy of my birth certificate that was in English and in Arabic and in Hebrew.
Wow. And so much of Israel today is still in English, Arabic, and Hebrew. If you travel the country, you see so many that have all of those languages. So what was Israel like when you were born and when you were a child?
Well, I remember very well some happening as a child. To start with, it was under the British mandate. And I remember the Red Beret, the English troopers that were in a street, and I was born in 38, so it was right before the World War II started. And I remember when it was all kind of strife between the Arabs and the Israelis, and then the war started.
Did you have any friends who were Arabs at the time?
No, not as a child, because it was the only Arabs that I saw. It was Saturday morning when a caravan of Arabs with donkeys and camel were walking from Jaffa to Sheikh Mounes, which was in the little bit north of Tel Aviv. And I remember it very clearly, the caravan going, and there was a lot of sand still on the roads. So
it's very interesting.
That was a road. The same.
It's very interesting because in America, everybody lives together, regardless of faith and nationality. But in Israel, it's not like that. Everybody has their own neighborhood. So that must be very different.
That is correct. This was the Israeli or Palestinian born in Israel at that time in Palestine. For 10 years, I was a Palestinian until 48, where Israel became a state. And I remember listening to Ben Gurion that evening, to Ben Gurion's speech declaring the state of Israel. I was 10 years old, and I remember it like yesterday.
That's a miracle.
Yeah.
It's amazing. So what was it like during the announcement? Were they playing loud music? Were they singing, dancing?
Absolutely. Yes, sir. That was dancing and singing, and it was no television. It was on the radio, but you could see everybody was so happy.
Mm-hmm.
So it was something that I remember very vividly, even though I was 10 years of age at that point.
And all of your neighbors, these families, everybody knew people who were part of the national effort, and everybody knew somebody who was serving in the military and trying to make the dream become a reality.
Absolutely, yeah. And my brother was 9 years older than me, so he obviously served as well. And he was a notrim at that time, the beginning, before the military. He was like another corps of soldiers that was the pre-military. And I remember with the special hat that he used to wear. And yeah, everybody. And then the war started in 48. And I remember that. And I remember the Egyptians plane flying over our house, and a plane evidently made a circle and dropped 3 bombs a little away from us, about around the block. And one was killed, the person was killed in an upholstery shop. And then the bomb fell on a house next to ours.
Wow.
In a hallway.
Wow.
It just happened to be in a staircase.
Yeah.
And then another bomb fell about 5 houses farther down, and it fell on a balcony. And
Wow.
for years, you can see the plaster on the bottom, on the ceiling of the balcony below,
Yeah.
where the impact of the bomb, it did not explode, but it just made the impact and the plaster fell. And I remember as a child looking at it always when I was walking to the beach or to the Kikar Dizengoff.
So was your family, were they scared, depressed? Were they optimistic or strong or energized? What was the mood like for your family, your friends? Did they think that they were going to win? Were they trying to keep their spirits up? What was the mood like at the time?
Well, I don't remember any fear, obviously, when the Egyptian plane, or when you heard the plane and you had to turn off the lights and chashecha, but I don't remember anybody in particular being scared. My sister, my 2 older sisters than my brother, were in the military in Haganah also. And so everybody was together in the fight for the establishment of the state of Israel, and then during the War of Independence.
Wow. So how did you get here?
Okay. I got here with this ship,
Okay.
Olympia.
Down.
I see
I
it.
don't know
I
where
see
the
it.
camera is.
Okay.
A little higher, right
There
there.
you go. Beautiful.
Yeah. And I came actually for a wedding of a cousin in Asbury Park. I had 2 uncles living in the US, one in the Bronx on Vice Avenue and one in Asbury Park, New Jersey.
I've been there. Nice place on the water.
Oh, yeah. And my uncle was a painting contractor, and he had to sponsor me for the visa to come in here to make sure that I wouldn't be of any burden for anybody. So he had to sign and give him a financial statement from the bank, and I still have those papers.
So what year was that?
That was in 1963.
Okay.
I came to New York. I came by the ship to New York, 2-week trip. And it was the day after my 25th birthday on August 7th, 1963.
Wow. So Esther, did you meet Meir in New York, or did you meet him?
No, I met him here. While he was after the wedding, someone at the wedding said they had a machinery factory here in Richmond, and asked Meir if he would be interested to go there and check it out. Well, first he said, well, where's Richmond? You know,
Uh-huh.
he'd never heard of Richmond.
Right.
And then he said, I'm just a tourist. I didn't come here to stay.
Uh-huh.
So they just said, well, why don't you just go down there and see what's what? So we did. And going fast forward, we met that next, I think it was like in February of '64, at the JCC. We had a couples group. Well, not couples, it was groups of Jewish young adults. And we would meet there for different occasions and just get together socially. And he happened to be there with his roommate then. And that's how we met. And we went on a double date. I was dating his roommate and he was dating someone else.
Uh-huh.
And
I was not really dating. We were just together
as a group.
as a group going.
Right.
But
Okay.
then we did go on a double date.
Right.
And then in September of '64, I didn't see him for a while because I wasn't too sure. And then in September of '64,
I scare everybody for the first time.
Yeah. But how about now?
Well, after 56 years almost, she
Not
doesn't want to
scared.
train anybody else.
Okay.
I'm in.
Okay. Well,
But anyway, in September of '64, we got engaged,
uh-huh.
actually September 26th. And then in April 4th of '65, we were married at Temple Bethel.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I grew up. I'm a Richmond girl.
Yeah.
And
So how did you get to Beth Israel?
our kids
The
were,
parents, her parents were members.
right.
Oh, you mean Beth Israel? I
Yes.
thought we were
Yeah.
talking about Beth El because we got married at Beth El.
Right. I grew up at Bethel.
You came to Beth Israel in the 70s.
Beth Israel, we joined, I think it was
80.
in 1980. It was
Before Mark's bar mitzvah.
right
We wanted him to be bar mitzvah
at Beth,
in Beth Israel.
and that's when we joined.
So you've been
And
with the
Mr.
shul about 40 years or so. And when I got here, Meir was on the board. Maybe you could talk about some of the positions that both of you have had here since 1980.
Yeah, I would love to, but before we go that far, I like to backtrack a little bit.
Yes, please.
Because I was proud to serve in the Israeli army. As a matter of fact, I have my dog tags.
Oh, I was going to ask.
And at that time, it was a disc of stainless steel with a rope.
Okay.
And my number was 344-894-984.
What did you do for the military?
And right here is a picture of me, of a soldier. And I can
see the resemblance. Oh, what is that? What is that?
That's his sergeant.
The sergeant stripe from the winter jacket that I got.
Oh, wow.
And I enlisted in the military. And this is the unit I served as.
What is that called?
You put that on the shoulder strap.
He said,
so you identify
what was it called? What was it called?
באיזה חיל אתה? In what regiment or what?
So what was the name of the regiment?
I was in Hel Chimush because I graduated from a technical school in Tool and Die, and they saw that I have those skills, and they enlisted me in a shop in Hel Chimush where we repair tanks and military vehicles as they were coming back from the war. I enlisted on 29th of July, 56, and discharged honorably in 27 of January, 59. So I served 2.5 years during the Sinai War. And this is my military
Wow.
and a military discharge card, and
What do you
inside
remember?
it says the different awards and whatever, and I have what it's called Ot Sinai, being that I served during the war of Sinai War.
What is the memory? What memory sticks out for you from your military service? Are there any stories from the war, the Sinai conflict, or any of that involvement that you recall in particular that that still are easily memorable for you?
Well, I served it, and I got to the point that I was in charge of the machine shop and of the whole thing, and I became a sergeant, and I was repairing a lot of the vehicles that came back from the war, all banged up, and so it was a pleasant.
So you made sure that all the vehicles were operable. That sounds like a very important position, and thankfully, the Israeli military was very successful. And as we like to say, that they were guided by divine providence. When you have a Jewish army that's in charge of a Jewish country like that in Israel, and the fate of so many Jewish communities. So we'd like to say that they're guided with the hand of God, so to speak. And we thank you very much for your service to that.
Well,
And
it
that-
was
and
my
that-
honor.
And that trickled down into Richmond. He worked at a machine shop. It was tobacco machinery. And he worked his way all the way up to foreman. And
I'm curious about that because Esther, how did he go from seemingly he was good with his hands, and then you guys started this business and kind of took off from there. So Esther, tell us a little bit about that history.
well, once he had gotten to a certain level where he was working, he couldn't go any further.
Mm-hmm.
So he decided to try and go out on his own, still working at his regular job, but doing this part-time. So we had a detached garage in our first home on Dancer Road, right off of Parham Road. And people would bring him toaster ovens, irons, small electrical appliances, just anything that, he could fix, vacuum cleaners. And it got to a point where someone would call him and say, well, we need to paint a room, or we need to replace a piece of glass in the door. We need our locks changed. We need a room painted. And that meant he would have to go out. So he was finished at work like at 4:30 in the afternoon. He'd come home, get his first vehicle was a Valiant station wagon.
Wow.
Stick shift, which he taught me to drive.
Cool.
With that. And he would get in there and he'd go to the homes doing whatever and come home like 11:30 at night. And this went on for several months, and it got to a point where he was really busy and he knew he wasn't going to go any further with his current job.
I was the foreman then, and unless somebody died ahead, I couldn't advance any farther.
So in January of 1970, he got his license for Mr. Fix-It.
As Mr. Fix-It.
And Mark was just 2 years old at that time. So it was pretty scary, to not have a regular job. And if you weren't working, you weren't bringing in money to survive. And so that's pretty much how it started. And then he just, started branching out and doing all kinds of things. And then in 1979, we incorporated, and we had an office in our den, in our house, at the back of the den. So Mark could play in there, but it was kind of, it was hard.
Right. And now you guys have how many employees?
We have over 50 employees.
You're supporting all these families that you've supported over the years. You built up this business. You said 1970, so that's almost half a century in business here.
It is. This
It's
is our
very rich.
51st year.
It's
Yeah, we
amazing.
just in January will be the 56th. January 1st, we'll celebrate the 51st anniversary.
And Mark is doing a phenomenal job. He has taken on the position as president and he's running with it. And he has got a great team behind him. And we have many
And we expand.
satisfied customers. And
Yeah, I don't know about you, but I see a connection here because you have this Israel gung-ho spirit, and then you were able to go off on your own and trust yourself and work hard, and then to be able to build something.
exactly.
Just like
Right. I had 3 little kids at home and I quit my other job and went into mine first, like straight forward,
Full force.
full
Right.
force. And I prepared all type of advertisement to get business, but I never had to advertise because word of mouth got me to all the
Right.
places because
Well-
I built it up over a few years.
well, people trusted you. So Meir, where did you get this? Is this in the family? Were your parents good with their hands also? And where did you get this kind of resourcefulness from in terms of being able to fix things?
Well,
Mr.
to start with, I was graduated of technical school, Shevach.
Where is that?
And that was in Tel Aviv, and that gave me the mechanical background, and I always was handy and always was curious of how things work. So it was natural for me to get that the channel for me to follow.
And it rubbed off on his kids
That's
Right.
great.
because they're gifted too.
Now, is that school still around?
I'm sorry?
The school.
School still around?
The school may be still there, Rehov Masger in Tel Aviv, in
Masger
the
Street
south
in
of
Tel
Tel
Aviv.
Aviv.
Very interesting.
I have all my graduation and all of those things. Very interesting.
Well, I know in the shul, Mr. Fixit has been very helpful over the years, and people don't know what goes on behind the scenes. And, a lot of what we take for granted here in the shul has been helped out over the years by Mr. Fixit. So maybe if you both could talk about your various positions at the synagogue over the years and what you have been a part of.
Okay. I served on a board for several periods, over and then got off and then voted back on, and for many years, and we have contributed a great deal. Obviously, people see the sign next to the ladies' room where we remodeled the ladies' room.
Right.
We contributed
That was in memory of Alex.
right.
Yeah, and I
the
want
one
to talk
that
about
was-
Alex in a few minutes, but
and the defibrillator next to the meat kitchen,
Right.
we contributed the railing, the hand railing on the front steps, in the middle of the steps. I went ahead and did that and
Right.
contribute that because it was always difficult to walk up without having to
Something to
brace
hold
for
on.
older people.
Right.
right.
And we did many things in the mikvah. We were instrumental and with the
Helping us.
Yeah,
big
that was great.
donation for the mikvah. And
Right.
we always tried to help in whatever we could while I could.
Right.
Now I know how to, but I no longer can.
Now, Esther, were you involved with the sisterhood here at all? Were you
I was.
in
I
the shul?
was.
If you could talk about some of those jobs.
I was very involved with the sisterhood.
And the
My
chairs.
mother and I were chairman of the gift shop, which is no longer. We spent many Sundays there, and that was a lot of fun. I had a project that I had always wanted to do. The chairs on the bima that are needle pointed, I had a committee that worked with me, and that was very meaningful for me and my committee. What else?
And you made that.
The food festival.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
That was always a big undertaking, and I don't think we're going to do anything this year, obviously at this point, and
Right.
I really miss that.
Yeah, I think we all miss it. Now, both of you have also thankfully decided to be part of Life and Legacy and to do a legacy gift. And what motivated you to want to do that and be a part of the Life and Legacy program?
To continue Jewish education and
to continue the synagogue, to continue to be there after we gone.
Mhm.
So we have a substantial nation that upon our demise, the synagogue will get that money, and it will continue to support the synagogue because we love Beth Israel very much. It became part of our life. We got our parents, Esther's parents, to join the synagogue as well after we did. When we start keeping kosher,
that was long before then.
Yeah, in the
that
previous
was when
house.
yeah,
Right.
But
when our kids were going to the day school.
Yeah, you know,
that was-
some people here are new. They don't know your kids. If you could talk about your kids and your grandchildren a little bit. I had the great privilege of teaching your grandchildren as well back in the day. So tell us a little bit about your family.
All right, our oldest one is Mark.
which runs
and
Mr. Fix-It right now.
Ronnie is our second son, and he is a mechanical engineer at
R&D.
Mead at West Rock. I'm
Waco.
sorry,
Right,
this is the
yeah,
previous
West
one.
Rock. Yes.
And Debbie is in sales for Mr. Fix-It and does great. She's a people person, and we're very proud of all three of our children. Our grandson is in New York now. He works remotely doing statistics
So-
for cyber statistics.
In a company that does cyber work.
And
Right.
he loves it. And Javi is in Northern Virginia.
In
She's
George
in.
Washington University.
Okay.
We compliment each other, right?
Yeah, you guys, I
'Cause
can see you guys finish each other's sentences.
Exactly.
Well, after 56 years, you can. We're
That's
still
great.
amazed when somebody says something and he said, "That's exactly what I was thinking right now."
Yeah.
Have you been involved in the small business associations here in Richmond at all?
Many.
Oh, yeah.
Have you connected
Many.
with the small business community? Talk a little bit about that if you can.
Yeah, I was when I worked for Tobacco Machinery Corporation, which is Victor's Mo's grandfather started it, and
Wow.
I'm very proud of Victor of what he accomplished, but became friends. And I was representing Tobacco Machinery in the Industrial Management Club. There was a club at that time from different companies. And
The Better Business Bureau.
Better Business Bureau, I was on the board and served there. And many other kind of groups of professional, and my son Mark is a member of the CEO group of CEO of corporations. Even though I hold the title of CEO, he is a president, but nevertheless I send him to join that, and he's very involved in that.
What about some other nonprofits, Esther, that you've been a part of besides the shul? What other local nonprofits, Jewish or otherwise, have you been a part of and contributed to over the years?
Well, with the food.
I volunteered at Feed More several times. I was also a volunteer at Henrico Doctors Forest for about 8 years with my mom.
Pink Stripes
Yeah.
used to be.
No, it wasn't called Pink Stripes.
What was it?
I can't think right now.
Well,
anyway,
clothes.
I did everything from bringing water to patients to working in the clerical office. I worked at the end, I actually worked in medical records. So I did pretty much everything in that volunteer position there, and I really enjoyed that.
Well,
I was
both of you have also been involved in Holocaust advocacy.
Oh, very much so.
Yes.
And a lot of people aren't familiar with Emek Shalom, and most people here at this time actually didn't know Alex. And maybe if you could tell us a little bit about Alex and some of your work with Holocaust education and continuing the memory of the Shoah.
Right. You want to bring one of the award that Alex got, that will show you. Alex also became a member of Beth Israel, and he was started as a docent at the Virginia Holocaust Museum, and then he was going on a mission to teach tolerance. He went to military bases, universities, high school, and he received an award.
Here's an
What
award.
does it say? What's
Now,
award?
he was a cousin of yours, right?
He was
No.
Esther's uncle, the
Esther.
brother of her mother,
Okay.
Rose.
Okay. Yeah.
And he moved from New York once he retired. He was a kosher butcher and had several stores in New York and Long Island.
Mhm.
And he
And
decided to live
how did he
here.
survive? How did he get out?
Oh,
He had
that's another.
Okay, what's
the Russian.
The Russians liberated him. He was in, I think, 5 different concentration camps.
Wow.
Right.
Because he was young, you know.
and what have you been involved in? Emek Shalom and what else? And some people don't know what Emek Shalom is.
Emek Shalom is
The New American Jewish Club is
Used
the
to be
club when
the
my
base of
parents
it.
first came to Richmond, and this small group got together.
Mhm.
And just because that's all, they only had each other at that time.
Mm-hmm.
and that's the only monument there to the Holocaust where he listed the name of the Holocaust that perished in the Holocaust, and the family inscribed them.
And
Yeah.
all the meetings that they had were at Beth Ahava in the basement. And I remember that as a child, go in the social hall where we would meet and have coffee and cake and
That was the New American Club that they
Right.
called them.
right.
But we
Which-
were very involved. I was on the board as well, the Emek Shalom Cemetery. And
For people who
we're going to
don't
be
know,
interned there as well.
if there are viewers or people watching this who don't know, Emek Shalom is a cemetery that's for survivors, created by survivors, and it's people who went through that difficult history. And if you haven't been there, everybody should try to go see it. It's a very powerful organization in town because it's not just a cemetery; they also do education and advocacy.
That's correct.
And
And they have
they were
the
recognized.
Kristallnacht. Every year they have a Kristallnacht commemoration.
Right.
And we urge people to come. Except this year, I was there for over 50 years, attending every meeting.
Wow!
Every
Every
anniversary,
gathering.
every
Right, every
gathering. So
commemoration.
we did
Right.
it Zoom this year.
Well, I want to thank you all for your time. If there's anything you wanted to add or think people should know, feel free to do it. But I know that you have had a lot of contributions to the shul over the years, and we're so happy to have you be a part of it. Meir, is there anything else you wanted to say?
Well, we've been to so many rabbis, and we still keep in touch with some of them. We visited Rabbi Lipschitz in Israel on one of our trips, and also Rabbi Ron,
Right.
and we have very good memories of Israel years ago when we were able to get to be more active and participate in more things. Now, you saw me at my wars when I had the stroke in 2020, 20,
Yeah.
no,
12.
2012.
Right.
And you saw me at my wars at the point where we did not know if I'll make it or not.
Right.
And we thank you for that.
Yeah.
And I just loved everybody there, and the old timers that are still there, very few. Many
Right.
of them I do not know. And through this Member Monday, maybe we'll get to know more people and they may know us,
Right.
because many of them haven't seen our face before.
Right.
And
Well, we celebrate our diversity and our different ages and our
Mhm.
backgrounds without question, but we wouldn't be here if it wasn't for people contributing like yourselves. And it's such a neat story, you know, the chairs on the bima, you can see it in my virtual background behind me. We're seeing it. You can see
Yeah.
Yes,
that was done.
wonderful.
And those two small chairs, those end ones, I had enough yarn left over that
Yeah,
I just decided they were blue pillows, and I said, nah. So
Right.
I did a Bargello pattern on each one of those to complement the other chairs.
right. So there's a lot of history, a lot of stories. It's great to see you both.
Thank you.
I wanted to end by saying to thank you in particular for growing our synagogue to what it is now. There is so many young people, a lot of children are never seen in all the time that we remember.
Thank
So
you.
many young families, and I think
That's wonderful.
we contributed to your input, and we like you very much. You're doing
Thank
a
you.
great job, and I hope you're going to stick around after the 10 years that
Thank
you've
you.
been there for much longer.
Thank you. Well, it's been a team effort, but it's been very gratifying. And truthfully, you know, having connections with people like yourselves is very inspiring for me. And I look forward to many more years and memories and creating new ones. And want to thank you both very much for your time, and warm regards to the whole family, and especially
Thank you so
and thank
much.
you for
especially your
having us.
grandchildren.
Thank you for risking having us on TV.
Shabbat
you go.
shalom.
Shabbat shalom.